YouTuber Toddie One Skip recently made a video about me. In that video, she talks about my relationship with my husband. Before we get into that, let's look at a clip about one of her past relationships. I decided to pay her that same respect.
Jen, which is what she liked to be called. And Jen and I met, I was 34, and Jen was just 22 because her birthday's in June and we met in July. And we met through a pane of glass because she was an inmate and I was the commissary manager. And we were having
I don't think
problems
that's legal.
with our radios. This girl came up to me, come up to my window, and she said her radio. Now, at this point, we're hearing all about the radios, and I said, listen, I am happy to replace that radio if you would go ahead and leave a note for me on the commissary sheet so that I remember to bring the radio next week because we don't have any radios right now. So she leaves the window, and I'm working with 3 inmates. So my employees were the inmates, and they're called trustees. And one of them was a really nice-looking kid, and his name was Richard. I'm not going to give you his last name, but his name was Richard. And I had said to him, wow, she's really cute, you know? She looks like she's about 12 years old, but she's really cute.
I'm sorry, what?
I say it for him, you know, to just
12 years old. Okay.
So the next week comes around and I'm getting commissary sheets. She comes up to the window and I really don't even notice her. She hands over her commissary sheet and there's something about the radio on it, but she signed it something about like being like 12 years old. So
her face.
I smiled when I was reading it, and when I looked up, she looked up at the same time because she was looking at obviously at me reading it, and our eyes met, and I had a big grin on my face, and she had green eyes.
Okay.
And when she walked away from the window, I looked at that same guy and I said, that's the girl I'm gonna marry. And that's how we met.
Now, let me just say, I watched a recent video of Toddie's, probably the first one I ever watched, and the comments she was making about Gypsy were gross. And then I watched this video yesterday and I was like, ma'am, you saw a young woman who was 12 years younger than you and thought she looked 12 years old and thought that she was cute. And then you get all giddy when she makes this 12-year-old comment on her paper. And then you say, I'm going to marry that girl. That's going to be my wife one day. That's gross. It's gross. Who looks at someone and thinks they look 12 years old and then thinks, that girl's cute. I'm going to marry her one day. That is disgusting. Now let's get into my marriage that you think you know so much about. Let me show y'all this comment that I thought was so funny. I shared it with my husband and my husband was so confused. Okay, so here we have Case Studies who interviewed Becca Scoops and asked what her professional opinion is on Gypsy's diagnosis, which Becca answered, even though it's illegal. But anyways, he says, Bree says she's all about transparency. I am. And that Becca deceived her followers. She did. Yet she's pretending to be married. This is hilarious. She gave Becca grief for not saying it was her ex-husband. I did, because he was married and he has a widow who was pregnant with his child. Yeah. Yet Bree is lying about being married. I just can't with these people. And she says, exactly. No, I can't with you people. I showed this to my husband and he was so confused. Poor thing. Me and my mother on my wedding day. Look at my bouquet. I made it myself. So cute. Oh, would you look at that? So we got me and my husband. That's our marriage certificate. That's his best man over there signing whatever he has to sign. Y'all are weird. Oh, would you look at this? A little collage of our wedding day. You got the same picture over there. You got the pastor praying over our marriage right there. You got us right there being silly as usual. Still to this day, we are over 10 years married, happily. Save the dates, dancing on our wedding day. It's probably staged, right? Y'all are weird. We've been married for over 10 years. My husband did get a good laugh out of it. I was like, baby, I'm single. All the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, put your hands up. Up in the club. Y'all are weird.